This place is full of light.
Can't you get rid of it?
I'm trying to. It's no good. As fast as you can flap it away, more comes back in.
Do you want a bucket?
What good is a bucket?
We can make a chain.
What good is a chain?
Chain of buckets.
There's a leak somewhere.
Leak?
In the sky.
Sky?
We're flogging a dead horse. Hand me that lantern.
Which lantern?
The dark one? The one with no oil in it. For this trick, I require the cooperation of a member of the audience. Is there any gentleman here who is bigamously married? Any bigamously married gentleman? And any bigamously married lady? Any lady who possesses more than 2 husbands? Then can I have the cooperation of a Lithuanian watchmaker? Any Lithuanian watchmaker, please? Any Lithuanian watchmaker's assistant? Is there an assistant to a Lithuanian watchmaker? A Lithuanian assistant to a maker of Lithuanian watches? Any public executioner? Could I trouble a public executioner to come forward? Any press steel jig tool operative? Crematorium shovelman? Any winner of a 5th round inter-regional BBC dancing competition? Reproduction Welsh dresser wormhole, reproduction Welsh dresser wormhole drill? Where do they all go? Any senior wranglers here tonight? Any crematorium shovelman, oil welfare specialist, lightning conductor salesman? Do we have an arsonist with us? This is extraordinary. Any seducers, any cat thieves, any pathological liars, any Jesuit monks? Any monkish Jesuits? Any exceptional persons present at all? Is there anyone who thinks that she is absolutely normal? Does anyone have a lighter? Is there anyone here who has a light? Is there anyone here? Thank you. Thank you. It went out again.
It's not bleeding white. I have a short passage that might be opportune to put over at this time. It goes like this. There's a despicable illness of the body and the mind, a peculiar surge of recurrent madness, part obsessional neurosis, part wasting disease, well known to the ancients, abhorred by the righteous, castigated by the saints, and not very unlike a kind of rabies, and with no known cure. It takes the form of a pathological craving on part of the sufferer to occupy mentally, emotionally, and bodily the mansion of another, to defy logic in terms of the individual to prove that 1 + 1 = 1. The methods got into this attempt are best not got into, and not to say they reek of bad taste and defy all accepted social, intellectual, and hygienic standards. Strangely enough, the disease in attenuated form is tolerated by society, but only on the condition that the suffering pair bind themselves together for life, brand themselves as incurable, and sweat out their grotesque obsession behind closed curtains. What is it? No prizes.
You know, dustmate, one wonders what all the fuss is about.
What fuss?
Let's say, for the sake of argument, life.
I'm not arguing.
I want that later again. No, you learn it. You learn it. Thank you so much. Only 3 things it all boils down to, really. Making an entrance, making an exit, and filling in the time in between. As to what you fill it in with, well, that's the least of it. The one thing certain is, you'll do something. You can't help yourself. That's profound! Whoa. Hang on just a second. Oh, that is so much better.
I changed my lipstick. Desire caught by the tail pink. Not that it seems to help. The fact is, I've got a difficult complexion. All the beauty specialists say the same. They say, you've got a difficult complexion. It comes of having eyes of 3 different colors.
3?
I mean 2. If I choose my makeup to go with one eye, it makes the other one look as if it's been stuck in by accident, and vice versa. The funny thing is, though, I've got 1 green eye and 1 blue, and my sister Lizzie's got 1 blue eye and 1 green. I don't care what anybody says. Somebody slipped up there. It's not that I don't like you, Meth. It's just that I'm not dead certain about premarital intercourse.
Who said anything about marriage?
It's the same thing.
How can it be the same thing? If we're not going to get married, then it can't be true. Let's be logical.
Oh, so. Not that I'm religious. What I mean is, if that's the way we're made, why try and kid ourselves? All these convocations of bishops. The dog is that you can just turn yourself on and off like a tap. It's a basic urge, otherwise we would none of us be here today. I mean, if people can't even do a simple thing like not have kids, we can't expect them to do anything about, you know. It's a basic urge, and anyone who believes otherwise has never met a skilled operator, that's my opinion. It's like Leonardo da Vinci says. In any case, it isn't as if we're living in medieval Spain. Come, let us sport while we may, that's my motto. What I say is, if you're old enough to vote, you're old enough to, you know. Oh, of course, if you're still in school, it's perhaps different. You've got your homework to consider. But take a girl going around with a chap, both working, and if they're fond of each other. Oh, I don't mean like the occasional tiff. After all, people quarrel all the time. It's human nature. I mean, if you're with a chap and he says so-and-so, and you don't happen to hold to that point of view, you're not going to keep your trap shut, are you? He'll say, it's so-and-so, and you'll say, don't talk so bloody ridiculous! And you'll try to win it over to your point of view, and you just won't see it well. You got clouded to a passing? It's human nature, isn't it? People have always clouded each other, and I don't see that sitting down in the middle of the road is going to help, if you know what I mean. But take a young couple, as might be you and me, and they can't get married, let's say, because it's after April 4th. And one night the situation just sort of arranges itself. Like, let's say they find themselves on their way home from the pictures, and they see that the park gate has been left open. Well, apart from anything else, it'd be spitting in the eye of fate not to, right? I mean, it's like one of them Greek plays. You can't do anything about it, so you might as well make the best of it. You know what I think? I think all this about getting married first is just a dog-in-the-manger attitude on the part of the establishment. I've read Trollope, and they know full well if a couple waits till they're married, by that time they're so sick of each other it's not the same. And besides, people can be incompatible, if you know what I mean. No. It seems to be a sort of social duty to, you know, prepare yourself. A moral obligation. Mind you, there's always old-fashioned people about. We'd all still be wearing veils and buttoned-up boots if they had their way. This is the 21st century, that's my opinion. Oh, mind you, moderation in all things. I mean, you shouldn't throw yourself away. You should be on first-name terms, unless it's love at first sight. And single just one chap. At a time. So, you see, Matt, I've got nothing against it. And I do like you. We know each other's Christian names, and we've been friends for well over an hour. And I think you're very good looking. You're my type of man, if you know what I mean. So I would. Only I just don't want to.
All I ask is a little common decency.
Is that all?
And a little charity. Oh, let us keep our sense of proportion.
Remember, we're all brothers.
Innocence and fair play. Is that too much to ask?
Yes.
What?
It's as common as dirt.
And you won't forget our agreement.
Yes. Yes.
No, you mean no.
No then, whatever you like.
I want you to put it into words.
What?
I will not forget our agreement.
All right.
Say it.
You're behaving like a child.
I need them to hear you say it.
I will not forget the terms of our agreement.
I will present the hermit's case with understanding.
Understanding.
And sympathy.
And sympathy.
You don't sound very sincere.
And sincerity. What more do you want? Don't start crying. I can't stand people crying.
It's just, I have an affinity with this hermit, a oneness.
So you told me.
My life had a purpose. It had a meaning. You all like to think that I was just a stupid old man when I was alive, but I won't be forgotten. My bones cry from the grave for recognition.
All right.
Let's get started then. Oh, where should I sit?
Wherever you like.
Where should I stand? I'll sit.
There lies behind everything, you can believe this or not as you wish, a certain quality which we may call grief. It bides its time, this quality, just behind the facade, sometimes very nearly exposed, as you can sometimes see on a clear day through the surface of an ornamental pond, the the dark, inhuman outline of a carp. And you realize suddenly that the carp are always there, even when the water sparkled in the sunshine and you patronize the quaint ducks and the supercilious swans. The carp are down there, unseen. It bides its time, this quality, and if you do see it, you may pretend not to notice and romp around the grass with your children, laughing for no apparent reason. The name of this quality is grief.
I've had a hell of a life. No one knows what a hell of a life I've had.
When I want you to start acting, I'll let you know.
I'm not acting.
Grief, the word is grief, the deaf, the incommunicable mute who sits behind the mind, watching it pretend, not even bothering to mock, biding its time. Do you have a scratch?
It's caught under this beard. It itches me.
Then take it off.
How am I supposed to take it off? It's beard.
Leave it on then.
It itches me.
Do whatever you like.
I did as I liked. I'd wear a beard that didn't itch me.
Question, where is grief most evident? Answer, in the silence after a joke, in the dusk after a sunset, in loneliness.
I don't follow your line of...
I should like to present you with two images. Image one, the year is 1856.
No, 1856, but I wasn't born till 1856. What?
Exactly.
The scene is a fold of meadowland. The time early evening, twilight. The lark has descended. The screech owl, its gut still coping with last night's meal, stirs uneasily in its tiptoes. And a nightingale in a beech tree refolds one wing, stares mindlessly into space, and waits mindlessly for the tiny impulse which will cause it to open its beak and emit mindlessly and without pride or joy the characteristic sequence of high-pitched sounds known as the Song of the Nightingale.
A bumblebee, drowning
Enough
high.
atmosphere. Characters, two in number. One aged 47, tall, ox-like, hard-eyed, complexion of raw beef. Mouth, unrelenting, usually clenched but now somewhat open, while an involuntary trickle of spittle exudes unnoticed from one corner and falls like a pearl on a thread onto the side-turned face of character number 2, a person of the opposite sex, age 35, medium height, hair auburn, eyes brown, vulnerable, inexperienced, clothes as if waiting patiently for the return of an acquaintance who's amusing himself in another room.
There are some things you shouldn't do on stage.
In the beech tree, the nightingale takes a firm grip on its branch, opens wide its throat, and suddenly, for no apparent reason, pours forth its liquid notes, source of inspiration from time immemorial for poets, lovers, pubescent girls, and men of indeterminate age with blank faces and blue serge suits, who sit in fields a green-lined bus from their bed-sitters on summer Sunday evenings, munching cheese sandwiches and dreaming behind the shutters of their dead eyes, lurid in probable dreams. As the first high plaintive note pierces the soft warm heart of September evening, Richard Mason, straight-backed, stiff-necked, brutish, late of Her Majesty's hired killers, catches from the depths of his preoccupation a sudden, tiny, fleeting, unaccustomed glimpse of that stranger, happiness. At the same moment, a mosquito out to dine, alighting on an exposed surface of a host temporarily unable to defend himself, sinks its shaft. And Richard Mason, who was once a child in his mother's arms, mindlessly, without pride or joy, forgets with fierce mechanical abandon all his good intentions. The nightingale sings on as it must. The mosquito totters away gorged. Enter Alexander James Mason.
We all have to start somewhere, that is what I say.
No, I don't see how this is helping my cause.
The second image, you are now to imagine that time has passed. The year is 1941, and you see an old man with dull eyes, who has spent a long and fruitless life in this damnable world, and is now living at the bottom of hell. Yes? He looks back and sees a long avenue of stunted years, futile longings, meaningless and unfulfilled desires. He looks forward and sees nothing. He squints crookedly upward, tries to think of God, and at the same time, involuntarily breaks wind.
Thus giving rise at his darkest hour to be the immortal trumpet's involuntary.
I object to that.
Naturally.
I want it put on record that I...
Continually scratch your beard and raise objections.
I'm not scratching my beard, I'm scratching my chin under my beard.
Everyone has to be a humorist.
I was a very devout man.
You mean he was?
That's what what I said.
What about it?
I wouldn't do what you just said.
Is spirituality a cure for flatulence?
My eyes weren't dull either.
You mean his?
They twinkled. I was a kindly man beneath my unhappiness.
Would your eyes twinkle after living alone all your life?
St. Francis of Assisi's did.
How the hell do you know?
There's no need to be profane. In fact, I've seen a picture.
What of?
St. Francis of Assisi feeding birds.
Oh, was it a color photograph or a snapshot?
It was in a book which had received the imprimatur of the church. It was in 3 colors. He was feeding thrushes and starlings, and his eyes twinkled. Now perhaps you'd like to call the Roman Catholic Church a liar.
There is an art which consists of remaining quietly on stage for any length of time without drawing attention to oneself.
To continue, we now have our 2 fixed points, our 2 corner pieces of the jigsaw puzzle. What we are to examine lies between accidental conception and casual death, between the instinctual call of a songbird to its mate and the instinctual dripping of an owl onto its prey. The prison lies within these walls, and the prison itself is defined within the image of the semi-idiotic lying in his own filth, praying to Almighty God and farting into the bedclothes.
No.
What's the matter now?
Is this what you call sympathy? Is this what you call understanding?
I'm doing my best for you.
I was a gentle, lovable old man. No one ever understood me. Nobody. Everyone was against me. Why do you think I lived alone? Do you think it's because I wanted to? I was too good for this world, that's why. I was a holy man.
It's a strange thing, it seems to me, that nothing can ever be done in the open, in the fresh air.
Oh, he started up again. You promised you'd get rid of him.
Perhaps man has undergone mutation and hasn't realized it, as of course no one ever does. Something once happened to a forerunner of the hare and turned it into a rabbit. This is what's happened to us. We've taken to burrowing underground. Our minds, they tunnel secretly. A human action used to have one reason, now it has 2. The reason one gives to one's PR agent and the reason one gives to one's confederate. Whence, may you ask, has honesty gone? Whence indeed, when minor characters conspire in green rooms while honest John, all unsuspecting, sips his well-earned coffee with an honest heart.
Full of deceit and fraud. Under his tongue lies mischief and vanity.
I wonder if you could keep this character juvenile quiet until I've finished.
God will look down on me.
Playing to the gallery again?
I've always been surrounded by enemies. People like him. They drove me to live as I did, throwing stones at me, calling me names. You said you'd help me. I hate violence.
I feel so refreshed after that brief stasis.
I shall go mad if you do not stop him. Why am I persecuted?
Have I done something?
He's completely out of control. Thanks to you, I can't do anything with him.
Very sad. I don't know why you should blame me.
If you had just kept dung beetles out of it.
I don't understand the antipathy this man feels for the common dung beetle.
He thinks he's a saint.
A what?
He thinks his beard is real.
But why didn't you try to pull it off to prove it wasn't?
I did. It wouldn't come off. It's growing.
You don't have to worry about that. It's psychosomatic.
He cried on my shoulder. What was I supposed to do?
Put your raincoat on.
You know what he wants? Pity. What's pity to do with it? And the worst part of all is that as he wept, I could feel water coming out of my eyes, welling up and brimming over. There he was, clinging onto me, pouring out this incoherent drivel about his childhood and his mother, and at the same time, tears were coming out of my eyes and running down my face. I can't stand it. It's grotesque.
It's psychosomatic.
And it makes my head ache.
You worry too much.
Go to hell.
What's the matter now?
My head's coming on again. I don't suppose you'll believe this, but I aspirations. When I was 9 or 10, I wanted to be a landscape gardener.
How interesting.
To impose order on nature. This was to be my life's work. A hill or two there, a lake there with ducks swimming in it, not deep enough to drown in. Even now, I yearn for simplicity, for honest emotions, flowers, the uncomplicated laughter of children. What the devil happens between the conception and the execution? Simplicity is all I ask for, the fact explained, the doubt put to rest. And what happens when I follow this beautiful, winding, magic footpath through the beautifully ordered park of knowledge to the tea gardens of illumination? What the hell do I find? A zoo. A zoo with all the cage doors left open by an idiot keeper where the animals roam at will, devouring one another, leaving exotic and unlovely messes on the concrete footpaths.
Your metaphors are highly questionable. I've been meaning to mention it.
All I want is to understand the purpose of existence, of one man. Not the population of Liverpool, of one man. Is that really so much to ask for?
The simplest thing in the world. You have tried before, of course.
But tonight, I really had it. I had it cornered, didn't I?
Like a fox, my dear sir.
I had it in my sights. All I had to do was pull the trigger.
And?
And I could have blasted that mystery to smithereens.
Only
that bastard identifies himself. He makes me pity him. Always something.
always something. But you can always try again tomorrow.
I shan't try again.
You said that yesterday.
And I mean it.
You said that yesterday. Though I don't know why you bother. Simplicity you want? My dear fellow, look around. Look, it's all there is.
You said that last night.
It's all been said, and will all be said again. True or false? A comforting thought.
Perhaps if you didn't exist.
But I do.
Let's bring the thing to a conclusion.
We're in agreement at last.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to
The
thank
Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. For thou hast placed all things under his feet, has placed him a little below the angels, has crowned him with glory and honor. Thou hast put all things under his feet, the beasts of the field, the fowl of the air, the fish of the sea. Oh, I see my enemies. What are you plotting?
All in good time.
It has been given to me to know the sort of person I really am.
How nice for you.
being the hermit.
All you see when you look at my life is the squalor, the degradation. Naturally, your eyes are covered with the scales of worldliness.
Charmed, I'm sure.
Don't go there.
You want this finished, don't you?
I, too, was blind, but now I see. My eyes have been touched with healing fingers of understanding, so that I see not the isolated fragments of life, but the whole pattern that unfolds itself like a flower, each role with its own part to play in the divine scheme, even you.
You're too kind.
My sort has always had your sort to contend with, to mock us. It might even be said that your cheap cynicism is a constituent part of that humus from which grows this sort of flower.
What kind of flower is that?
The saintly kind.
Of course, forgive the question.
It's no laughing matter.
Now that's an interesting question. What is and what's not a laughing matter? I suppose for the sake of argument, you regard it.
Stop him! Get him out of here!
Now, remember my place in these things. We mustn't tamper with the celestial machinery.
You promised you'd get rid of me. You promised! You said you were my friend!
You cried on my shoulder.
Why don't you help me?
You're past helping. He can't get rid of me. You know why? Because I am his creation. And a creator can no more get rid of his creation than a creation can get rid of his creator.
No.
I'm getting to that. You see, even a god has his limitations. And the more he creates, the greater his limitations. For what is creation but part of oneself? What is the act of creating but the attainment of knowledge of that which is created? And how can one destroy part of oneself? Even a god can't do that. A god can't even cut short his own toenails. He can only omit to create, which of course has the same effect. Ergo, in the ignorance of the blind, non-creative being lies absolute freedom. The freedom to do whichever is willed, which is nothing. The freedom of the stone, of the burnt-out star, of the empty skull. With the amoeba, he'd not been a man of intelligence, he'd not have created me. Would I still have existed? That's a difficult question, but luckily not relevant. The point is, he did create me, and he's landed with me. He can take off nights with the beautiful and the good until he's hollow-eyed, and he'll still find me waiting for him when he gets home. I am his creation, and he'll have to deal with me.
You curly swine!
Please, don't let me hinder you. Do, go on with your saintly tale.
I've had enough of this. I'm going.
You can't. Why don't you kill yourself?
What's good with that, too?
We'd be rid of each other.
Are you sure?
It's a sporting chance.
You have a sensible suggestion. I'll hear it.
The trouble with that solution is that it's too sensible, isn't it? You have no arguments against it, and you must admit it's a neat solution to the problem. Any problem. So neat that one feels there must be a snag in it. As the renowned bard said, even the Bible has nothing to say against it, which suggests that it wasn't even considered attractive enough to condemn, compared with, say, stealing one's neighbor's asses. Times have changed. So, I can't tempt you.
Go to hell where you belong.
They won't let me in.
Very well. I shall continue on alone. Let it be quite clear where I stand. I am a straightforward actor, and I shall get to the heart of the matter.
Keep control of yourself.
I am in control. You want to see me stand on one leg?
Not really.
I see I stand on one leg. I am in control.
Now lift the other one.
I have an announcement to make. The world is full of a certain kind of person whose only ability is to mock. They hang on our backs like fleas, these people. And the more we try to dislodge them, the more they mock. And when they're done mocking us, they build us a cross. Why? I'll tell you. Because some of us have something they don't understand. Some of us have soul.
I knew a man like that once. You're married and forget why I didn't now. I think it was because he was always talking about his conscience, and at the oddest times, too. I mean, it was like having a third person in the bed. I mean, the room. He knew he had to do something for the good of mankind, but he was in constant torment over whether to join the church or the army.
I admit, I was at that time in my 30s when Fanny Bell was in her early teens.
He finally compromised and became a chaplain.
I admit also that I left presents for the child, both by the gate and in a basket hanging from the branch of a tree. Eggs, fruits of the particular season, walnuts, and I am not ashamed to say, the occasional gift of money. I agree that she wrote letters asking for money, and once she left a note asking for a watch and chain because she was going into service in London. My Fanny, leaving me all alone. But I swear I never touched her. I never said one word to her or to anyone else. The world is full of wickedness, and my enemies are all around. Lo, behold how the wicked bend their bow. They ready their arrow upon the string. But upon the wicked he shall rain fire and brimstone. Because who can you trust when your own brother lays poison for you, as I know for a fact he did? Right, to get me out of the way, but I never did harm to no one. And those voices, I hear them at night, speaking poison about me, calling me names. And even you, Angela, even you will go and leave me, grow up, get married, forget me. The world is too big for me, and I can't hide small enough. No one ever understood me. But I know what I know once. I had a vision.
The end's coming.
Alexander James Mason, the hermit of Great Canfield, was a saint.
I'm mad about saints.
Sunday, September 8th, 1895. My diary. Went to bed.
Get up after me.
There is the truth. Went to bed. 11:30. Had not lain many minutes when felt something so strange come down from heaven. It felt as if no one ever understood me.
Stop whimpering, for God's sake.
It has his sympathy. It's no joke being a saint. Something so strange. All I want is to be understood.
All right, enough of it.
Explain to them.
Explain what?
Why I lived. Tell them.
Yes. Here sits a man. To hell with it. Here sits a parcel of flesh on a frame of bones, and here is a mechanism called a brain, and behind that is a creature soft and white like a maggot in a chunk of meat. It sits and suffers. No one sees it, no one gives a damn, and there's no reason anybody should. Its name is grief, and it signifies nothing.
I say.
Stop crying! I can't stand people crying.
Please, what's wrong with him? I had to do it. Will you
Stop crying, for God's sake!
What's wrong with sir? You are among friends. We are of the human race full of love and compassion.
You bet.
Is this a boiled sweet, do you think?
Get rid of him!
Give him
Is he
air.
loosen his collar?
Come. Sit here a while. We are all God's children, as the saying goes.
Come on, mate. We only want to help.
Hush is going to speak.
Bastard! Get him out of here!
All in good time.
You can't send him off like
Not
that.
without a word of encouragement.
But how can we help him if he won't tell us what's
Should
wrong?
we ask him again?
He'll only repeat himself.
Or worse, what's to be done?
He looks much the same from this side.
I was about to make an identical observation.
I hate to make a diagnosis, but not forever, I should say. What say you, Professor?
I won't disagree with that, Professor. His days are numbered, I should say.
As to what that number is.
I wonder if...
You'd like to chance your arm at a diagnosis?
After you, my dear sir.
Not at all. Age before beauty.
I was merely about to observe that the convulsive movements of the shoulders appear somewhat more pronounced in the right shoulder than the left.
A trifle. Do you think perhaps it's significant?
Nothing's accidental.
Oh, good Lord, no. Everything must be accounted for.
It goes without saying.
I wonder if...
Well,
My colleague and I were about to observe...
One moment. What about the Herzog effect?
Herzog.
1936, fully authenticated. It was tried on over 200 pigs.
My God, I'd nearly forgotten. But can a pig be said to have the ability to shrug his shoulders?
it appears there'll be some time.
Excuse me, sir. Do you believe in free love?
Do I believe it exists?
What I mean is, do you hold with it?
Do I hold what with it?
What I mean is...
Yes, I know what you mean. Is it a general or personal question?
It doesn't matter, I was just making conversation. What about God?
What about him? So they must have waited at Ghent to hear the news from Max.
That's my opinion too, for what it's worth.
My colleague and I have come to the conclusion that the patient has dislocated his soul.
This is like a rupture, is it?
A spiritual rupture, you might say. We would
Oh,
operate.
I can't stand blood.
But if the air gets to it, it might prove permanently fatal.
We therefore propose to try manipulation. We might just be able to push it back into place.
If we're lucky.
If he's lucky, Professor. Stand back.
It might fly off.
Ready?
Ready.
This is not going to hurt. What I want you to do is simply relax. Slacken off your ambitions. Let your spiritual aspirations go limp. Allow your illusions of grandeur to become flaccid. Smooth away that superego. There, that's the way. It's altered intentions, you see. It's not really there.
His shoulders are going again.
Natural reaction. Relax, my dear fellow, relax. You may feel as if you don't quite fit into this world, as though there is something special about you. You may feel as if the world is a badly fitting jacket. It's not true, you see. It's all those nasty tensions that make you feel out of place. Think of beautiful things. Think of a nightingale singing in the middle of a wood, in the middle of a night, with no one there to hear it. How perfect a machine it is that such a thing can happen. You too are part of this machine, an exquisitely balanced cog in a clock that can never go wrong. Relax, my dear fellow, relax. He's
Cured.
Is that the end?
But not so stupid, you see.
Shall we sum up?
why not?
You first.
If you hold a mirror to the face of life, it preens itself, crimps its hair, strikes the noble attitude. All of this you see in the mirror. But out of sight, with the other hand, it quietly scratches its bottom. Suppose now a full-length mirror. Which is real? The integrity in the face or in the hand scratching? A brother of ours, as the early Christians would say, has the misfortune to be born at all, to live a life the wretchedness of which can only be guessed at, and have to wear that life for 84 years. 70 years later, he's dragged from his little grave and made to stand in the middle of a stage. There he stands, yearning for his little bed. But we must have him dance for an evening's entertainment. We want to hear his bones rattle. What do?
We piss ourselves laughing.
Naturally. What else? His life was but a joke. His corpse has served its turn.
This is morbid.
Now you.
There's this bloke Smith, see? Telling a dirty joke to a casual acquaintance. While at the same time as it happens, his best friend is jumping out a 5th floor window just for the hell of it. Smith comes to the payoff. He could hardly tell it for laughing. So the Irishman says to the Duchess, "This'll kill you, splat!" Off in the distance. He doesn't hear. Too busy laughing, see? 5 minutes later, the sound of an ambulance coming too late reminds him of the joke and sets him off again.
Well, if he didn't know.
That's right! We never know.
Now you.
On the 7th of June, 1857, a man was born. This is a very strange thing. On the 17th of January, 1942, he died, which is even stranger. And if you go to Essex and root around the right place, you may, if you're lucky, come across a little pile of bones. And this is the strangest thing of all, where this man thought himself as real as we do.
Have you anything to add?
One thing about us. At least we're not dead.
I can prove it.